Welcome to Digital Nation, your weekly tour of the best of local TV. Whether it's a floating sweet shop or a secret history revealed from below stairs, we reveal the things you don't normally see anywhere else. This week, we meet a youngster in London who's become an ambassador for fire safety. We discover a collection of ancient Chinese artefacts in Cambridge. And we hear from scientists in Glasgow about their contribution towards a scientific discovery. Loving local? Then let us know what you think by using the hashtag #DigitalNation. The English Civil War was a turbulent time in the country's history, and as you might expect, injuries on the battlefield were part of life. An exhibition in Nottingham profiles the treatments and medical procedures that were carried out during these dark and uncertain times.
It was the age of gunpowder, pikemen and cannon fire. But find yourself hurt in the English Civil War and, well, heaven help you. The various treatments and remedies, each more gruesome than the last, are all on show in the battle-scarred exhibit. You need only take a look at some of the doctor's kit from the time to know that this was hardly keyhole surgery. This cauterising iron would have been heated until it was red hot and applied to a wound to stop bleeding. This gruesome-looking saw was used to cut through bone when an arm or leg was being amputated. And as for this monstrous syringe, well, I don't think you really want to know. As has often been the case through history, the machine of war also drove the machine of technology. As one of the bloodiest conflicts in the history of the British Isles, the doctors of the day had plenty of chance for practice.
I think because surgery and barber surgeons had so many people to work on, their skills were fine-tuned and honed, and I think they got more efficient in what they were doing. Parliament realises very early in the war, in 1642, after the Battle of Edge Hill, that they need to cure men, save men, so that they can carry on fighting. So they pass acts to this effect.
One of the crown jewels of the exhibit, this giant wheelchair made for the Parliamentarian Commander-in-Chief, Sir Thomas Fairfax. You can even test your skills as a Civil War surgeon, extracting a musket ball from a soldier's arm. As you can see, treatments at the time were a little more rudimentary, even for a minor malady.
This year marks the 150th anniversary of the London Fire Brigade, and to celebrate, they've recruited their first ever young fire safety officer. 7-year-old Archie helped launch the brigade's open days and was able to don the uniform to lead the team in their drills and duties for the day.
Very much attention. Quarter on. I am Archie and I've been the leader of the fire brigade. It's been fun bossing around the firefighters. Watch attention. 135 ladder to the 3rd floor. Get to work. Sir. I've learned that you need work smoke alarms. Knock off makeup! Knock off makeup! Working as fire brigade, they've been going out for missions and they've been, well, saving people up there. While I was here, they actually had to go and sort out a fire mission. And that was really exciting.
Yeah, we've got 65 open days, and the first open day is going to be at Soho, and Archie has been chosen to represent the young people for the open day. So the very first open day, and we'll be seen at many more across London. You know, to have someone so young to teach fire safety to his friends at school and also at Cubs now, it's a great way to get the information through, because smoke alarms are very important. And he can also give the advice of make sure you test your smoke alarms once a week.
Right, I'll write it out.
Oh!
To the northeast now, where an artist's work is making the leap from canvas to the stage in the form of a new dance production. Artist Alexander Miller spoke to Made in Tyne and Wear's Mel Crawford about his inspirations from the region's industrial past and his work's transition to a new medium.
Well, the artist behind the vision here is renowned Alexander Miller. Now, Alexander, tell me about sort of your thoughts behind the collaboration between yourself and Dance City here and what's going to be seen on stage.
It's really a kind of bringing my paintings to life. I've been painting for so long now, and it's memories I had of my childhood, growing up in Scotland, but they kind of become universal, that everybody said these images in the background. But the collaboration we've got with Dance City is that, Kristen's been able to put together a team of dancers that are able to make essentially 2D images into 3D, and it makes them come to life, and it just adds a new dimension to the whole thing, A lot of the paintings, when I first started out, were the old gadgets, the old men in a back. They used the landscape of the northeast as backdrops. And I was always looking for a way to make the figures stand out more, and I could never find it. And by pure accident, one day I had a big pile of white paint left in my palette, and I just mixed it up, and I just went over the landscape, and suddenly this kind of image was born. And it was almost like the more I took out the paintings, the more the paintings came alive.
Yep.
Getting an insight into the thoughts and opinions of the general public is a valuable aspect of local TV. And Make TV in Bristol has in previous weeks shown that they have a high success rate with the humble Vox Pop. Reporter Josh Ellis set out to quiz the city's people this week on telling the truth, ideal heights, and other unusual subjects.
Okay, so the first question, would you rather always tell the truth or always lie?
Always tell the truth.
Okay, any reason?
I'm really bad at lying.
Okay.
I just can't, I'll just laugh. Always tell the truth.
Any reason?
Just like to think I am an honest person.
Always tell the truth. I mean, I get good friends.
Okay, why always tell the truth?
I don't know. I just feel like you get really good friends. If you always tell the truth, people, you'd be such a trustworthy guy. They'd be like, that's the guy who always tells the truth. I think that'd be a good thing.
Would you rather be 3 feet taller or 3 feet shorter?
3 feet taller, because I've got a few small mates and I don't think it's very fun being small, so...
Definitely 3 feet taller. I'd love to be 6 foot, let alone 3 feet taller,
Okay. Would you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or 1 horse-sized duck?
A horse-sized duck would be incredible to fight.
That would be insane.
Yeah, I'm going to go horse-sized duck. Have you seen a horse-sized duck? They're massive.
I have seen one, yeah, and they're not nice.
1 horse-sized duck.
Okay.
I think
Why?
Just safety in numbers in terms of the duck-sized horse-sized ducks. I'm getting confused.
Yeah.
100 duck-sized horses.
Okay. And why?
They'd be so cute.
I'd 1 horse. Oh, actually, how big is the horse?
A big horse.
A big horse.
Yeah,
okay.
one of the big ones.
Probably 100 duck-sized horses then.
Horse-sized duck, yeah, you'd probably lose against a horse-sized duck. I don't know.
Okay.
It's a good question though, but horse-sized duck, yeah, I'd fight a horse-sized duck.
Horse-sized duck.
Probably 1 horse-sized duck. Quite a good story to tell people, like horse-sized duck, no, duck-sized horses. It's not that much of a story.
1 horse-sized duck.
Very brave answer. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully you don't come across any horse-sized ducks.
I hope not.
But have a lovely day.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
See you later. Cheers.
Animals are a regular fixture here on Digital Nation, proving that we're truly a nation of animal lovers. Now, a rehabilitation centre in Peeblesshire is giving some of its patients with drug and alcohol problems the opportunity to experience hands-on therapy with horses, aiding their road to recovery.
I'm an alcoholic addict. I had a letter from my mom. I was really agitated and angry. I started to cry because my anger got out, and the horse came to me and he really pushed me and he didn't want to leave me alone, and it was my anger that he felt, and I guess he's like a mirror in your reaction and your acting. And so that's what I learned, that there is a lot of hurt and anger in me and towards my mom. And that came out.
The horses connect emotionally to the patients. Recovery is about learning how to live life differently and how to look at life differently. And the patients learn that there are alternative ways to look at life and alternative ways to live life, and that their behaviours affect other living things. The horses connect because they pick up on the heartbeat of the human beings who are near to them. They pick up on the emotions that human being is experiencing. It's a very spiritual programme. I've had horses for about 40 years. But I was also a patient here 23 years ago, which seems like an awful long time now, but I can remember it very clearly. They provided a platform of emotional connection. That's how they helped me.
I never worked with horses before. I didn't have experience with horses until I came here. And we worked with them in groups last time. We had to, as a group, make sure the horses got into a spot and without touching them. And we were like, we had to work together because the horses are really social animals. It was hard to get everybody to do the same thing at once, or to get to do it in a way you want it to be done. So you get to know yourself, like how you feel when people are not cooperating, how your family must have felt when you're not cooperating with them, when they're not in, you don't want to go in treatment and they know you have to. So you get to learn about how other people must have felt dealing with you, and how you feel when you're trying to do that same thing.
If I am calm and if I'm feeling calm, they are calm too. If I'm very anxious, even though I don't express that I'm anxious, they feel it too and they back off. I had another session and the horses, they just walk away. So you really need to be peaceful in yourself and then they are peaceful too.
That brings us to the end of part 1, which can only mean it's quiz time. In which UK city was the famous Spitfire aircraft created? Was it A, Preston, B, Southampton, or C, Sheffield? Join us in part 2 for the answer. Welcome back to Digital Nation. Before the break, we asked you, in which UK city was the famous Spitfire aircraft created? And the answer is B, Southampton. The iconic Spitfire was devised by R.J. Mitchell and was built and tested in Southampton, making its maiden flight from nearby Eastleigh on the 5th of March, 1936. Next, we uncover a historical collection of Chinese oracle bones that shine a light on the practices and customs of ancient China's court. These precious artefacts have now been catalogued, scanned and 3D printed for future generations to study and ensure that the secrets of the country's past are preserved.
From weather reports to a cure for toothache, just some of the questions etched into ox bones like this one by the ancient Chinese court. Cambridge University Library is home to over 600 Chinese oracle bones. And now, for the first time, an oracle bone has been scanned and printed in 3D.
One of the most interesting bones we have is one of the earliest records of a lunar eclipse. Of course, a lunar eclipse was regarded as a very powerful sign from the heavens that something was wrong. So they had to do something to try and placate their ancestors, make them feel better. And the way they usually did that was by making a sacrifice to them. In fact, this particular bone is about sacrificing an ox to a certain ancestor. And it says here, shall we sacrifice an ox to ancestor so-and-so? And the way they asked the question was, at the back of the bone, they made these pits. They carved these pits in the bone. And then you can see at the edge of the pits there are scorch marks. This is made by applying a hot poker to that spot. And when you do that, if you've cut the bone in that way, you get a crack in the bone. You can see the cracks on the surface. The crack has two components, a vertical and a horizontal line. And what they looked at was the direction of the horizontal line, whether it went up or down, whether it was straight or whether it was crooked. That was the answer to the question.
The bone was scanned and printed using a 3D medical printer at Addenbrooke's Hospital. The 3D print, made from plaster and superglue, is a perfect replica, allowing academics to examine the bone in greater detail. And the 3D images are also available online, so that scholars across the world can explore the collection.
Staying with the theme of Chinese culture, we travel to Leeds now to learn about the Chinese Art of Alicia. This ancient system of health and exercise combines techniques from Tai Chi, Chinese yoga, and Kung Fu. A maid in Leeds, Helena Biles went along to discover the benefits of this holistic practice.
Hi there, so I'm at Leeds University and I'm really excited because I'm wearing leggings and this is where I feel most comfortable because I'm going to be doing some Alicia with Yi. So Yi, tell us about Alicia.
Alicia is a fantastic system that's come from China. It's very, very ancient. It's based on the theories of yin and yang, and it incorporates lots of arts such as Tai Chi, Chinese yoga, self-defense, meditation.
That sounds like the best kind of martial art. Yeah. I think you're going to show me a little bit of a move or two now, aren't you? Okay, yeah, I'm totally ready. Let's go.
If you start, this is what we call eagle stance, okay? And then you're going to step, so you're going to lengthen up through the crown of the head, get nice and aligned. Imagine the crown's coming up to the ceiling, and then you're going to slide your left heel out and just place it down underneath the shoulders. There we go, breathing out there. And then breathing in, just draw the foot right back as you circle the hands back in like this. Palms flat to the floor, that's it, beautiful, okay. So breathing out now, you're gonna circle the hands up and over, and then look at the backs of the palms. And then breathe in, you're going to circle the hands back down, drop them back down. And then you're going to look straight ahead. And then just turn the palms over here. There we go. And that's the end of that first sequence, which is called Gather Celestial Energy.
The lavish features and extraordinary style of Brighton's Royal Pavilion are well known, but life below the stairs in King George IV's palatial home has largely been unseen until now. Brighton's Royal Pavilion and museums have now opened up the lower quarters to reveal more about the working life of the palace.
Passageways, private rooms and a pre-war tunnel. The Royal Pavilion's underground quarters are now open to the public for the first time.
What we're looking at here is actually the foundations of the original Nash 1821 hot air boiler. Totally impossible to regulate, and they had a terrible time. It was either very hot or totally cold in here, and George liked this building hot. So you can imagine they were really suffering for His Majesty.
It's part of the Pavilion and Museum's workforce development scheme to give staff a chance to further their career and learn more skills.
This is a visual representation of the size of the chimney flues that chimney sweeps were sent up to clean. It's 9 inches square. Does anybody want to have a go at trying to fit through it?
The public come along and they see what the guests of George would have seen all those years ago, the opulence, and here they're getting to see the opposite, what actually made that opulence work.
Well, I hope it gives them a bit of a fuller understanding, because as Jeff said, you experience the building as George's guests would have done, but by going downstairs and seeing all these service areas, you do get to kind of see the pavilion in a new light.
Now a cool slice of creativity in this week's Creative Kingdom.
Is there anything more American than baseball? Well, there better be, because if you're looking for the true home of the old ball game, you need to strike out all the way to Guildford. That's right, the first documented game of baseball was recorded in 1755, 40 years before the Americans pretended to have invented it. Obviously, it was a bit different then. There were poles instead of plates, the ball was delivered underarm, and the earliest batters used their hand. Oh, and it was a woman's game too. One of Jane Austen's characters in Northanger Abbey played it. While the Brits transformed their bat and ball obsession into cricket, the Americans turned theirs into baseball. They've got 7 more innings than us, but we've got the tea breaks. Proof once again that when it comes to creativity, innovation, and giving the Yankees something to do, in Guildford Mint.
If you've got a sweet tooth, our next story is almost certain to float your boat. A couple with a passion for confectionery have taken the unusual step of casting off their very own floating sweet shop. The candy boat has been traversing the waterways of the country and has now arrived in Lancashire.
If you seek perfection in sugar confection, there's something new on the scene. Owned by Gail Levers and her partner Trevor Wass, the Candy Boat travels across the country to indulge every sweet tooth's dream. How did this idea come about?
I got made redundant and I was struggling for a job for about a year, and I decided that I was going to do something myself. I was going to do a burger van on the streets. Now, we have been continuously cruising with the boat for several years before that, and the missus didn't want to jack that in. So she turned around and said, you can do anything you want as long as it's on the boat. So I had to come up with an idea of what people was interested in, or to make a little bit of money and we'll enjoy. Hence the candy boat. I mean, a lot of people think it's the children. It's not. It's the adults dragging the children down and wanting to see the old-fashioned sweets. They'll come along and say, they've not seen those for years, and start buying.
After floating up and down the canal for 6 years, this is the boat's first stop in Lancashire, providing the county with old favourites and traditional homemade fudge.
Finally, we head to Glasgow, where scientists have been developing revolutionary technology in the field of gravitational research since the 1970s. Now their unique work has contributed to a landmark scientific discovery, the detection of gravitational waves.
We have detected gravitational waves. We did it.
The discovery is huge. It's the first direct detection of gravitational waves and actually saw two black holes colliding and merging into one. It has opened up a new window of observation onto the universe, much like the first time Galileo pointed a telescope at the stars. And it's all thanks to LIGO. Yet did you know Scotland made significant contributions to the LIGO project, and there's even a retro-gravitational wave detector here inside Glasgow University from the 1970s. This is a split Weber bar. It's a gravitational wave detector, and this one here was built in Glasgow University by a design from Jim Huff. So did this one ever detect a gravitational wave?
Well, we really don't know. We had one event between our two detectors back in 1972 that we could never explain. We thought at the time it might well have been a gravitational wave, but there were no other detectors running at that point.
So nothing could verify. So the LIGO project was massive. It took a lot of collaborators, and this is actually maybe the most important contribution that Glasgow University made.
You're right, one of the key things that we've worked on is technologies to isolate the mirrors in the detector from sources of noise.
So without this technology, you think it would be harder, if not impossible, to detect it?
That's right.
Yeah.
It's generations of people learning from the people before and taking that technology to where we are today, and that really is the start of a whole new branch of astronomy, gravitational astronomy. We're listening to the universe, listening to those vibrations come in rather than looking up at it.
And that completes our rundown of the best of local. If our stories have inspired you, then don't forget there's more to see on each of the local TV channels' websites. Or why not catch up on previous episodes of the show by visiting bbc.co.uk/Digital Nation. Until next week, goodbye.